Hey guys, so I have another speed paint video for you, and next week is going to be the workstation tour for 2015. A lot of people have been asking about it, and that'll be my next video. So woohoo, I'm excited for that one. Anyway, I'm working on a picture here. It's quite random. Initially, it was a completely different picture. I had asked Christian to give me random words. His first two words were orangutan and devilfish. And I was like, no, I need better words. So he started giving me other words. And one word was jellyfish and another one was power glove. So I got this idea of this girl who lives underwater with the jellyfish and uses these power gloves to project herself through the water. And I did make up a sketch, but I ended up ditching it. I just didn't like it. And I decided to start anew on a new piece. And I actually picked out my colors first. So I wanted purples, blues, pinks, and turquoises. I decided on the color palette first because sometimes it helps me come up with a concept, because I was so stuck on what I needed to draw, and I was like, I need to draw something tonight in order to get my video done in time, and it's hard when you're on a time crunch to be creative sometimes. So yeah, I thought of the color palette, which led me to think of this girl who initially I didn't really picture her wearing clothes either. She was supposed to be some kind of weird alien creature, and I pictured her with bulbs all over her body, like almost like giant boils all over her body. I know that sounds gross, but they were going to be these cute colors, and I thought it would be really cool for some kind of alien creature. And I started sketching her out, and I was going to have tentacles on her forearm, which you can see in the picture right now. I ended up scrapping that idea, and then once I erased the tentacles, I remembered, oh yeah, I was gonna draw these boils all over her, and I kind of forgot, but she's kind of already wearing clothes, and I felt like that idea didn't really work anymore, so I decided to scrap that. Maybe I'll do something with it in the future, but I struggled a lot with her clothes, and finally found a skirt that I liked and ended up transforming it into a dress, and I just felt like the hand in the back was weird, so I actually moved her arm behind her so you don't really see it, and it kind of sucks because I feel like that hand turned out okay. I think it turned out better than the other hand. I need a lot of work on hands. I didn't even show all the footage of all the times I redrew the hand. It was ridiculous, and I'm talking about the bottom one, and then I just ended up covering it, so it was pointless. But I tend to draw really sausage fingers. I can never draw dainty looking female hands. They always look so sausagey, and ugh, like the hand she's holding up right now. No. Anyway. So I used a normal pencil to darken the outlines because I was sketching in blue, and you can see some of the boils there that I drew on her, and then I was like, nah, this doesn't work, and I erased them. And then I traced it onto some watercolor paper using my light box, and I used a blue pencil, not the same blue pencil I sketched in, but one of my Norris Club pencils, because I thought I would have a pencil outline like I've been doing lately in my pictures. But I felt like it was too light, and just because the colors are going to be a bit brighter in this piece, I wanted the line art to be a bit brighter. So I used some blue pens. I used the lighter blue one. Oh, these are Staedtler Fineliners. I use the lighter one for the whole picture, then just the darker one for the eyes, because I don't like it when the eyes are outlined a really light color. Even doing this dark blue felt too light. I was tempted to go black, and I just thought, no, just leave it blue, we'll survive. So that's how it's turning out. And my thought is she's just some kind of alien creature. She's dressed up for a formal event. I don't know exactly what it is. You know, the story doesn't always need to be fully fleshed out. Sometimes I just draw and you just see what happens. It's cool to sometimes have this background story to your picture, and sometimes the story just develops as you're working on it, and yeah. So this was one of those times where I just kept redrawing everything until I came up with something I liked, because I didn't have a concrete idea in my head. And I mean, that's what art is about sometimes, just doodling till something works. It feels stressful when you're trying to do it for a video and you're thinking, I need to get this right the first time. So now I'm using my masking fluid. I actually just got it in the mail, and it's a masking fluid pen. That's what it's labeled as, even though it's not really a pen, but it has a fine tip, so you can just squeeze it out instead of using a paintbrush. And I struggled a bit with this. I did do some tests on a different piece of paper before I started on this picture, and it's a little bit hard to control because a lot of the time the ink, or not the ink, the fluid just comes out so fast. And it's not too bad for drawing those straight lines, but doing those circles, it would turn into this huge dome of liquid, and it's never gonna dry if it's a big fat dome. And so I tried using a paintbrush to scoop out some of the fluid and spread it on other areas, but towards the end it was cooperating really nicely. It was just for the first 3/4 of the picture that it was not working. Plus it was full of air bubbles which kept popping out, and those were a pain in the butt. And I think it's because I shook it, and you're not really supposed to shake masking fluid, I don't think, but when I got it in the mail, it looked like it had settled and like it separated into 2 different parts. So I had to shake it to make it back into what it's supposed to be. So as I was shaking it, I was like, oh, this is probably making a lot of bubbles, but it had to be done. And it's not one of those instances where tilting would have worked. It was like a violent shake. And I actually have another one of those pens with a finer nib, and I haven't tried that one out yet. So I'm excited to see if maybe it has a bit more control than this one. So we'll see. And here I'm using my watercolors to paint in the background. And they're Pebeo, that's the brand. And I don't know, they're not really super expensive or anything. I think it was $40 regular price for the whole tin or something like that. I'm not sure. And I'm using watercolors because 1, I just felt like painting because I've seen a lot of painting videos lately. And 2, the masking fluid works better with watercolors than it works with Copics. I tested it on watercolor paper and on my marker paper using both watercolors and Copics on both types of paper. And the Copics behaved exactly how I thought they would. The ink gets underneath the masking fluid, but not on the top layer of paper. So when you take the fluid off, you're left with, you could still see the design you made with the fluid, but it's not white. It's sort of just a lighter version of the colors you used on top of it. And I made sure to use a lot of ink to really test it out. And so it worked great for thin lines. It was a cool effect, even though it wasn't solid white. But for the big circles that I drew in between the lines, that's where it didn't work because it would leach under the edges of the circle, but not all the way to the middle of the circle. And so when you peel it off, you've got pure white in the middle and then this ring of lighter color and then your background. So I think if you're going to use Copics with masking fluid, it's best to stick with thinner lines. And the more ink you lay down, the more it's going to get underneath those lines too. I made sure, I really did lots of layering and blending just to kind of test it to the max. But I think it's all right with Copics. I might still do some things with masking fluid and Copics in the future. And another important note with masking fluid is make sure everything is totally dry before you start to peel it off. And I did have some problems with it tearing the top layer of the paper, which is strange because during my tests it didn't rip either of the papers at all. Although this watercolor paper did feel more prone to ripping than the marker paper, since the marker paper is much smoother. There's less texture for it to grip onto. So here you see me removing it. I'm just using an eraser to erase it away. And like I said, there's a few spots where it tore the paper, but it still looks all right. I like it. I think it's a pretty neat effect. I'm not really sure what the background's supposed to be. It feels almost a little bit like constellations, but I think of her as more of an aquatic type of alien, so I don't even know. It's just one of those random things, and it turned out how it turned out. There wasn't a whole lot of planning involved. I just wanted to have fun with my masking fluid. Alright, what else can we talk about with this picture? I decided to make her skin just a combination of all the colors involved, and I like how, because I used Copics on her skin and then watercolors in the background, it helps her pop because the colors, she is very similar colors to the background, so I was worried she would blend in too much, but because the paint is not as vibrant as the Copics, it works out because the background's a little more desaturated and she's more saturated, so she pops a little. And I'm a bit sad that the shading got too dark on her arms and pretty much her whole body, because on her face the dark purple isn't too dark, but I feel like it is too dark on the rest of her, and I didn't want to darken up her face, so it doesn't quite match, and I feel like it's too much contrast than I wanted. And it's not meant to be really shadows, it's just meant to be the way her skin looks. Like, depending on the angle, it will reflect purple. Like, I don't know, not really a reflection even, but you know, like I've had nail polishes that do that. It's turquoise and purple, and depending on how you twist your nail in the light, you can see different colors reflected in it. So that was kind of my thought with it. So yeah, and then I added little dots just as a cool texture. It's not scales, but it's just meant to be the look of the skin, and not even quite texture, just more like a pattern that's in the skin itself. It's not like it's bumpy or anything. So those are my thoughts regarding her skin, and I think it's really pretty. I like this, and I like how she doesn't have hair. It's just, I don't know, it's nice. I think the one part I'm not 100% happy with is the dress, because it feels really plain compared to the rest. I did add some purple in the shadows to make it match the rest of the picture a bit more, but I still feel like I could have done something else maybe with the texture so that it wouldn't, like it's too solid. It kind of stands out in that way, but I didn't want to take too much attention away from her skin, so I don't know. It is what it is, and overall I'm still really happy with this picture. And seeing it in person looks so much better than seeing it on the screen. I mean, that's always the case with any art, but I have it propped up in front of me and I'm like, I just want to hold it. I think I like it because it's fully colored and it's on my watercolor paper with watercolor background. So, I'm pleased with it. Oh, and her name, I guess, is CRAYA, because, I don't know, that's just what came to mind. I'm like saving the project file and I'm like, what do I name this? So it's kind of like, think of last minute of a name. So her name is CRAYA, and she's some kind of creature, and that's my story. Oh, okay, the video's about to end, but one quick note. On Patreon, I hit my 3rd milestone, which means guaranteed uploads every Friday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, starting in April. So this benefits everyone, even if you're not a supporter on Patreon. Videos every week, which means more videos. Woohoo! So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Oh, and just one more note for those of you who are supporters on Patreon pledging $5 or more, there will be a real-time version of this picture up on Patreon, so be sure to go check that out. Alright, see you guys!